Welcome to the Agoura Hills Planning Commission meeting of June 18th, 2026. At this time, please silence all cell phones and electronic devices. In fact, let me do that. If you wish to speak or submit a written comment, please complete a comment card for each agenda item and submit it to the city clerk before public comment portion of that item. I will now call the meeting to order. And I will defer to Commissioner Roth for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you very much. Please stand.
Thank you. I will now defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Thank you. Good evening. Excuse me. Commissioner Platzer.
Present.
Commissioner Roth.
Present.
Commissioner Stern. I'm sorry, Stein.
I'm here.
Oh, boy. Vice Chair Sharon.
Present.
Chair Reinhardt.
Present.
Chair Reinhardt, you have a quorum this evening.
Thank you. And I will now ask for an approval of the agenda. Will the makers of the motion and the second to approve the agenda please state your names?
Commissioner Roth, so moved.
Commissioner Sharon, seconds.
Thank you. Yes, you are Vice Chair Sharon.
Vice Chair Sharon.
Okay.
Seconds.
And I will now defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Platzer.
Aye.
Commissioner Roth.
Aye.
Commissioner Stein.
Aye.
Vice Chair Sharon.
Aye.
Chair Reinhardt.
Aye.
Chair Reinhardt, you have approval 5-0.
Perfect, thank you. We will now move on to the public comment portion. This section is reserved for individuals wishing to speak on items not listed on the agenda that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. If you have materials to distribute to the Commission, please do not approach the dais. Instead, provide them to the city clerk for distribution on your behalf. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and a speaker's time may not be transferred to another speaker. Written comments submitted by individuals may not be read aloud by another speaker. Individuals addressing the Commission shall refrain from disorderly conduct that disrupts or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting. I will now defer to the city clerk for public comment.
Thank you. We did not receive any written correspondence, nor do we have any speaker cards.
Wonderful, thank you. We will now move to public hearing item number 1. Our next item is to conduct a public hearing to consider the adoption of number 1, a resolution approving a variance for the removal of one protected tree. Boy, we all need caffeine tonight. And 2, a resolution approving a reasonable accommodation and conditional use, site plan architectural review, and protected tree permits to allow construction of first, second, and third story additions to an existing non-conforming 3-story single-family dwelling and accessory structures on a hillside lot, and making a determination of exemption under the California Environmental Quality Act. I will now open the public hearing and defer to Associate Planner Eric Wong.
Thank you, Chair Reinhardt. Good evening, Commissioners. The item for you this evening is a request for first, second, and third story additions to an existing non-conforming 3-story single-family dwelling with reasonable accommodations, along with various attached and detached accessory structures, a driveway realignment, and one protected tree removal. So for this evening's agenda, we'll go over the existing conditions on site, the proposed project, the proposed site plan, and discussions about reasonable accommodations, a variance, CEQA considerations, and staff recommendations. Starting with the existing conditions, this project site itself is located within the very low density residential district, or RV district, along with the Old Agoura and equestrian overlays. The average slope of the site is around 14.7%, making it a hillside lot. And within this hillside lot, there exists a 3-story single-family residence that was built prior to city incorporation. Because our zoning ordinance does not allow for 3-story single-family dwellings, this is considered an existing and non-conforming use. The current FAR count is around 3,908 square feet out of the 5,222 square feet maximum, and setbacks are as follows: 122 square feet for the front, 220 feet to the rear, and 15 feet and 31 feet to the sides. In total, the site coverage is around 18.9%. This includes the existing pool and impermeable driveway. within its vicinity surrounding to the north, east, and west are similarly zoned parcels within the RVOA EQ district, and just across the street to south on Foothill Drive are RL 20,000 zone districts. So we'll go over some site photographs to kind of more understand the current conditions. As you can see from the left picture, it is from the right-of-way on Foothill Drive, while this one on the right is more closer to the existing three-story existing single-family residential building. Note three-story, third story on top of here. And this is the eastern side yard. So as you know, the site slopes down towards the east on the site, but on this portion of the property line, existing plantings exist that kind of obfuscates, or I guess shields any potential visual intrusion that could happen from the existing second-story balcony here. And here's just a picture from the rear yard. You can see again the topographic nature of the site, and you can see the existing pool. And because of the slope itself, the single-family dwelling looks like a two-story dwelling, taking advantage of that original slope when they built it. So the proposed project has multiple parts to it. So the first one is additions and remodel to the existing single-family residence. So the first floor would have an addition and remodel for an elevator, an expanded entryway, and bonus room. The second floor, similarly, will have an addition and remodel for elevator, new bed and bathroom, new family room and dining room. And the third floor, which usually is not allowed to be expanded upon because it's considered an existing non-conforming use, but however, in this case, it's under a request for reasonable accommodations, is going to be remodeled and expanded with a caretaking room and an elevator and a remodel of the existing balcony. In total, because of the square footage threshold, a CUP is warranted as it is located within a hillside lot per the hillside ordinance. Continuing on, the attached accessory structures proposed include a porte-cochere, which is going to be put on the eastern side of the house, over here over the existing garage, as well as a attached open trellis patio cover in the rear yard. And for detached accessory structures, there notably will be a new fence and entry gate, as shown on the attachment 4 in your staff report, as well as here in a screenshot of the elevation of said gate, a new relocated pool along with the pool house, retaining walls, a sport court, and a barn for horse keeping purposes. Looking at the site plan, we can see the existing site plan to the right and proposed site plan to the left. As you may note, there's a proposed gate as well as a realigned driveway that's a bit wider, and also proposes to replace the existing non-permeable surface with permeable pavers. For the rear yard, it's a bit more detailed. So the pool is going to be replaced and realigned closer to the western side yard with multiple various retaining walls protecting the slope to the west, as well as accommodating for this new reworked pathway for potentially any trailers or any access to the rear yard in general, or direct access to the horse keeping area, which is further north. As you can see here is the proposed barn and sport court as well. Here's the proposed elevation that what will look like from the front with the additions. As you note, the extended balcony above the porte-cochere. And here's the rear yard elevation. As you can see, sort of see from here, it's kind of hard. But there's also the attached open trellis patio cover, again with the porte-cochere on the side here as well. And then the additions are to match the existing finish and style of the building, with the exception that they are going to harden the materials, most notably the sidings from wood to hardy fiber plank, which is a more fire-resistant material. The finishes will be an off-white to match the existing material finishes, and then the roof for the additions will match the existing as well. The whole point of this addition is to try to keep it as close to the original building as possible. And now, as summarized on this slide in this table and as shown in your staff report, the project complies with most RV, EQ, and OA district standards. The only thing that wouldn't apply theoretically would be the FAR count, it would exceed the maximum. But when you apply the exemptions, typical exemptions such as the garage and barn exemption, as well as the reasonable accommodations request, that FAR count would drop to below the 5,222 max to 5,027 square feet. So concerning reasonable accommodations, a reasonable accommodation is basically a relief from the zoning ordinance to ensure equal enjoyment of the property for a disabled individual. In this case, that request is to add square footage on to the first and second and third stories for a caretaker room and elevators. For a reasonable accommodations request to be allowed, obviously it has to be necessary to provide for an equal opportunity to use and enjoy the dwelling, which, because the caretaker room provides privacy and adequate care on site, as well as the elevator providing mobility and access for the individual. Staff believes that this is that meets the requirements. Addition, the request cannot impose undue burden on the city, whether financial or administratively. In this case, the applicant has paid all the fees required to bring this to hearing. In addition, the request itself is not a direct threat to health and safety. Finally, the request cannot be a fundamental alteration of the city's zoning ordinance. So whereas it is an allowance to expand the existing nonconforming use, the project as proposed would still maintain the character of the neighborhood by matching the existing design and finishes of the single-family residence, and also preserves the actual land use, which is a single-family residence. Concerning protected trees and the variance requested, because of one of the retaining walls, a protected tree will have to be removed. This protected tree encompasses basically over 10% of on-site diameter at standard height count, which will require a variance per our code, specifically section 9657.6C2. With that also comes a more stringent replacement regime. So instead of two 24-inch box trees, the applicant is conditioned to replace the one tree with two 32-inch box trees, and these will be planted in the front yard and protected. For a variance to be granted, there has to be an unnecessary hardship that would occur due to a unique physical conditions. In this specific case, redesigning to avoid removal of the tree would be prohibitively costly for the applicant due to engineering considerations and site work redesign. For the unique physical conditions, of course, the retaining wall is required to prop up the existing western slope, which also affects the neighbor properties because the slope also acts as portion of an access for the lots there. Furthermore, the tree itself is hazardous due to the unbalanced canopy, which we'll see in the next slide currently, and will be further hazardous in the future if it is allowed to continue growing. Finally, and this variance would not become a special treatment if granted, because any applicant wanting to remove a protected tree over 10% DSH would need to apply for a variance similarly per our code. So up here you can see the tree in question is this protected tree here. It starts growing on the slope, but it's somehow becomes like a 90-degree bend over the rear yard. As you see here from the oak tree report and oak tree map, this is the tree in question, and the green is the canopy. Right now it's already overhanging the rear yard where someone can theoretically be should a limb fail. And this is what the canopy would be with the site as proposed. As you can see, there's more area for someone to be in. And again, if it's continued to be left to grow, then that canopy would continue to further encroach into the rear yard, increasing the chance of limb failure and injury. Concerning the California Environmental Quality Act, staff believes this project is exempt via Class 1 and Class 3 categorical exemptions, also found in California Code's regulation sections 15301 and 15303. This is because the project's total increase of square footage is less than 50% of the original floor area. Furthermore, there's no sensitive habitats on site, nor does the project disturb previously undisturbed soil or slopes. In addition, the project is located in an area where all services are available, and all the new proposed structures are accessory to the existing use, which is a single-family residence, which will not change per this project. And the project does not meet exemption exceptions as outlined in State Secret Guidelines section 15300.2, including subsection C, which deals with unusual circumstances. Therefore, staff recommends the Planning Commission adopt 1, a resolution approving variance permit number PZ 2026-86 VAR to allow for the removal of one protected tree pursuant to Agoura Hills Municipal Code Section 9657.6C2, and 2, a resolution approving reasonable accommodation conditional use permit case number PZ 2026-38 CUP, site plan architectural review permit number PZ 2025-62 SPR, and protected tree permit case number PZ 2026-60 PTP to allow construction of first, second, and third story additions to an existing non-conforming 3-story single-family dwelling and accessory structures on a hillside lot, and making a determination of exemption under the California Environmental Quality Act. And with that, staff presentation is done, and staff is available for any questions.
Wonderful. Thank you, Eric. Does any commissioner have any questions of staff? And I will start over.
Well, I have to ex parte, so
Oh,
I happen to live on.
that's actually,
Oh.
I guess, the next question, but we can start with that. So does anyone have any ex parte communications they would like to disclose?
I do. I live at 28404 Foothill Drive, so I'm about .157 miles from this home, and I've passed this home and been inside the home. I've been on the street about 44 years, so the house was built in 1983. So I've been also inside the home, but not recently, so I'm very well familiar with this property.
Thank you. Well, I have to ask you to hold your comments until it's your time. Sorry. Commissioner Stein?
I just drove by the property.
Okay.
Yeah, I visited the site today and spoke with staff earlier today as well.
I've driven by the property.
Okay. I've driven by, but not recently. Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Does any commissioner have any questions of staff? And
Commissioner Roth will jump in first.
Okay.
Eric, fantastic job with the recommendation there. That was a mouthful. Quickly, just a few questions. Can you just re-share the process for the protected tree and the mitigation thereafter?
Yeah, so basically, the protected tree permit is for the removal of one protected tree, and because the protected tree that's being removed is considered over 10% of the total on-site diameter at standard height count, that triggers a variance per our section for development permits. So in that case, that's why this variance is being brought forward to Planning Commission as well, along with the protected tree permit.
Awesome. And my understanding is that the two 32-inch box trees that will be mitigated for the variance are going to be replanted onto the property itself?
That's correct. They're actually going to be planted in the front yard per the applicant provided oak tree reports. So they'll be protected in perpetuity, and it would also screen any perceived mass from the public right-of-way.
Fantastic. And then my last two questions, one of which I'll ask the applicant, but I always ask this for any property development in Old Agoura, but has the homeowners group weighed in on the project? As well as the second half of the question would be, what has been the architectural review, design review board's perspective on the project?
So I'll answer the first one. The first one is staff received no comments from any group regarding this project after proper notification. That includes the 750 feet from the property line, all HOAs, as well as the on-site sign. For your second question, because this is an addition that relatively matches the existing design, the project was not brought to the Architectural Review Board.
Thank you very much. That's it.
Great. Thank you. Commissioner Platzer?
Yes, thank you again. Was the geology report done? The home is on clay soil, slip and slide issue, and I thought the foundation in the past was bent with prior inspections. So the retaining wall holds up the foundation of the home, and with additional square feet on 3 levels, would the foundation hold up the home without danger of collapsing, especially to a disabled individual?
So unfortunately, I'm not an engineer, so I can't answer that question directly with certainty. However, a soils report will be required during building and grading to ensure that all CBC requirements are met, including the stability of said additions. So basically, it would mean that once, it should Plan Commission approved this tonight, and then the 15-day appeal period ends and is officially approved, the applicant will have to go get a building and grading permit for the project. And in that phase, it'll be checked for calculations regarding stability and safety, as well as on-site inspections during building to make sure that all requirements and recommendations are followed from the soils report. But to answer, yes, the applicant has a soils report. It's currently in check with our soils engineer.
But was the foundation, was there a foundation report of the foundation being held up on this present soil?
Staff did not receive any data about historical information regarding a soils report that had any mention of a failing foundation or a bent foundation.
Okay. So the home is on a sewer right now? It was previously on a septic tank.
Correct. So action due to run with the existing property.
Okay, and then I was trying to read this. How did staff determine if the requested accommodation is reasonable and not excessive? I mean, is there some way, I mean, I understand putting in an elevator, there's so much square footage, but I'm just trying to understand, like with the first, second, third floor, how does staff view this additional square footage when it's saying we should ignore the 549 square feet when we look at the total square footage?
So we had the applicant break down their square footage counts between the square footage required to kind of accommodate the elevator and all the other reasonable accommodations related additions and modifications. So we're not exempting the whole square footage of the first, second, third stories. We're only exempting the square footage related to the elevator and the caretaking room.
Okay, and then my last one question is there was a slide that was showing, I think on the east side, a canopy that protects the view looking at the home. What happens if that landscaping dies, or is there any plans for how that's going to be maintained? So, because they're going to be adding more square footage going up. That's all.
So there isn't any condition right now that requires the applicant themselves to maintain that existing planning. I actually believe it's technically in the neighbor's property. But we do have a condition in general, also in general, that all property should be maintained in an orderly fashion. So if there's a dead tree, to some extent, that's not really, orderly property. So I hope that sort of answered your question. It's kind of.
I'll defer any other questions to the applicant. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Vice Chair Sharon?
Yes, thank you for the quick presentation. It was very, it was impressive. Regarding the elevator, does the fire department have to weigh in on this? Is it going to be like one of those medical sized for caretaking needs where you can put a bed in it, or is it just like a individual elevator? So I'm kind of curious as to why we're going forward with an elevator versus something like a first floor ADU or something like that. I'm just because I don't know how like neighbors would feel having another story hovering over them. So I'm curious about the thought and a little bit more of the dimensions.
So the fire department in general did have to weigh on in this application due to the nature of the redone driveway and the gates, but also the fuel modification portion because they're adding a considerable amount of square footage, right? But for the elevator, I'll have to defer that question to the applicant. But in general, the whole point of reasonable accommodations is to ensure equal enjoyment for the property in whole. So that includes the existing third story, second story, and first story. So in general, having the elevator, what is staff believes is acceptable for that reasonable accommodations request.
Okay, and will it be just like a standing elevator or like a medical elevator?
Staff did actually not receive specs on the elevator, so I'll defer that to the applicant.
Okay. I did have a question about the HOA, but we got that asked and answered. And so And we didn't hear anything about any neighbors or anything like that, anybody else?
No, we didn't receive, city staff did not receive any letters or correspondence with anyone regarding this project.
Okay, I think thank you.
Great, thank you. So I just have a couple of quick questions, but I think that the majority of them will probably have to be deferred to after the applicant speaks. I did have a question about so looking at the grading, it is 3 stories, but it looks like it's it's almost a split level. Would that be a better clarification?
Yeah, that would be correct. It's again, I believe when they originally built this property, it was to LA County standards. So they took advantage of the topography, which was that large kind of slope, and they built that first story at the bottom of the slope, and then added on the 2 stories. So that's why in the rear yard it looks like a 2-story. You can't see the first story, and in the front it looks like a 3-story.
Okay, it's funny because, a lot of the split levels, it's the reverse, right? So it looks like 2 stories, but then is actually 3. So from the rear is where it looks like it's 2 stories. Okay.
That's correct.
And the other question is, with this 3rd story expansion, there is no additional height that's being added, right? Because it's already an existing 3rd story, so it's just I guess lateral square footage, for lack of a better term, correct?
That's correct. So there's they made sure to not kind of go over the existing height, so the height remains the same.
Okay. And with the I guess, so I know we'll have to ask more details on the elevator to the applicant, but with the elevator, the obligation of inspection and code enforcement to make sure that it's compliant and safe and all of that, whose jurisdiction does that fall under? Is it the fire department or is it the city?
So for elevator maintenance, the planning department would not be really involved in it per se for any mechanical faults. So that would be the onus on the owner and possibly the building official when they come out to inspect it for a final.
Okay. So obviously for a final after construction, but there's generally inspections on elevators periodically after construction for, would there need to be a permit for it, or is it, how does that work?
Yeah, we inspect it and certify it upon occupancy, so they get a building permit for installing the actual elevator, but we don't do ongoing inspections after we certify the occupancy. So if it malfunctions, then the applicant or the owner would need to essentially get a person to submit a building permit to the city to come fix it.
Okay, so, and there wouldn't necessarily need to be an operating permit because it's considered a private residence, correct?
Exactly. If it was a commercial property, it would be a little bit different. But since this is a single-family residence, then
Okay.
yeah.
I know we don't live in New York City, so we don't deal with townhomes that have these elevators in them all the time. This is a rare, I mean, I'm sure there's probably less than a handful of elevators in Agoura Hills in single-family homes. So it's an unusual thing that comes up, but thank you for answering those questions. I'll defer any other questions to after we speak with the applicant. Thank you, Eric. Okay, so now I will defer to the applicant. You and your representatives will have 15 minutes if you want to come up and if you have any kind of presentation, or if you want to ask, and we can also ask questions of you. So you're welcome to come up to the podium here. Now you're allowed to talk. We have to keep everything in order. So.
Understood. Thank you for having me. Eric, thank you very, very much. I appreciate the presentation. I think you made my job a heck of a lot easier, and I think you described that very, very well. So it's been quite a long planning process, and a lot of these things, in full honesty, have been forgotten. It's just been a really long process for us, so this was a really great refresher. But I don't have any questions for the committee, but I'm happy to answer any questions, of course, if they have any.
Okay, so what we'll do is we will ask any questions. Give me one second here. Okay, so we don't have any statement from the applicant. So then, before we move on to public comments, does any commissioner have any questions of the applicant? And I will start, I started with you, so I will start over here with Commissioner Stein.
Yeah, thank you very much for wanting to improve your property. I've always liked that. The question I have is the elevator. Is it going to go from first to the third floor as well?
Correct, yeah,
The way I was reading it is the third floor is caretaker.
correct.
I was just curious if the disabled person doesn't have access, why would it go? I mean, just curious as to why it would go to the third floor, so.
It's a great question. To answer that, it's, the purpose of the elevator is to give accessibility to all floors of the home, particularly the third floor where the caretaking will be taking place the majority of the time, so, which is close to where we will be sleeping. And so the elevator's intention is to make it from ground floor up to third floor.
Thank you. I'll defer other questions to the others today.
Okay. Any additional questions? Okay.
Hi, how are
Commissioner
you?
Potzer?
Hello, Merrill.
Is the disabled individual your family, are you the only
Yes,
mother?
it's my mother, correct, yes.
Mother. So where is she going to live? Is she on the first floor, second
No,
floor?
she's gonna be on the third floor with us. My wife is not thrilled about that, but we do need her close by, so she will be on the third floor.
'Cause I'm a neurologist. I deal with caregivers and patients with dementia and stroke. So my concern is with the elevator on the third floor. What happens in case of a fire or earthquake? And the power will be turned off. You know, why can't your family member live on the first floor? It would be safer.
I think that's something we've considered as well. The third floor for us is closer because that's where we plan to be most of the evenings where, you know, I lost a father to dementia, so I'm familiar with it. Because of the way the property is and the home is, there's also some egress from the rear where you're one story. That's something I have to consider also, perhaps maybe putting a ramp in the future from the bedroom. There's a rear exit that gets you to the yard, and from there you have a clear path to exit. So that's something that we've put into consideration. For now, we feel like the best place to have, you know, my mother would be close to us, especially in the evenings, and to give her some accommodations as well on the third floor. So that was the purpose of it. It just made the most sense for us.
And also, I asked about the geology report about the soil and the foundation. Is the foundation any better now? I mean, did you do any improvements?
So it's a great question. When you say better, it makes me really think, is there any issues with the foundation? I did a really thorough, perhaps maybe you know more than I do, but I did quite a bit of investigating. I'm a general contractor myself, so I did a lot of investigation on the property. We did a lot of due diligence while we were in escrow. We do have a geology report. We do have a soils report. It's one that we had prior, and then another one that we actually had again to prepare for a plan check. But this is a place where I expect my family, my mother, my children, and myself to stay. There's quite a bit of retaining on that property and a relocation of the pool. So I'm equally as excited as you probably are to see that, because safety is definitely a big concern for us. So we're currently in the process of waiting for the results of those reports.
So if we approve it tonight and the results come out bad, so then what? So.
Then that's a problem, but I feel confident that we won't have those types of issues. We did have a preliminary soils report with Heathcote, is the name of the firm. So I know with the pool and some of the retaining walls around the area, there were some recommendations to dig deeper footings and wider footings, so I'm prepared for that.
So I heard the foundation was bent in the past.
Really? I did not hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they went down, and that holds up the whole house. I'm just concerned about that.
I never heard that. Where was that?
I don't know. I mean, I know it from being on the street.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, so I'm just concerned about, your mother and all the loved ones being
Yeah, of
safe.
course.
And having a better foundation. That's all.
okay, I appreciate that. Of course, that's a big concern for me, so I'm going to look into it, but that's not something I was aware of, nor able to uncover, not through any inspections or previous permits and any retrofitting of any sorts. There's no record of it, at least that the city provided me, so I don't see that.
Okay, I just want to look into it, so I'm a little concerned about that. And how old is the pool? I thought the pool was within 5, 6 years, and,
I don't recall how old it is. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you're correct. It wasn't from the original owner. In fact, the original plans did show a pool, but they did not build that pool. I would have preferred that they did. It would have made things a lot easier for me. I think this design is a slightly awkward one. It's at an angle. I believe it's 2005. I don't know for certain, but I believe it's 2005. Perhaps maybe sooner. I don't know. I know it's not that old, but I do know that the heater went out, and so right now it's not very functional. So it's a nice pool to have, and it's still getting maintained on a weekly basis, but it does not heat up anymore.
no, I appreciate that you're taking care of a loved one, because it's very expensive and
Yeah.
very difficult,
Yeah.
and it wears the whole family down. So I've dealt with that recently in Florida with a relative, so it's really hard. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You don't have any additional questions for the applicant?
No, I did question the elevator, but after hearing Eric's explanation of just reasonable access for the whole home, it just makes sense. So I have no question.
Okay.
Okay. The only question I had was, if with the elevator, when you were looking at the plan.
Yourself, it's a very unusual thing. I've never owned one before. So ideally, it would be great to have a freight elevator, and why not just the mother? But let's also take material up. But I think for me, the main objective was to be able to create one that's at a size where ADA, at least turning radius, is available. So where a caretaker and my mother can get in comfortably, turn, use the controls and get to the floor levels that they look for. So currently it's designed for an interior box of 5 feet by 5 feet. If I can extend it a little bit more and give a little bit more depth, which I think I can without affecting any of the other, because it's essentially going into a open area. Maybe down the road, it's something that would be a very big expense that I would consider, but I think for now that would suit our needs for accessibility and getting her from floor 1 to floor 3 if we need.
Right, and again, not being familiar with the world of elevators, it's for 3 stories, it would be a hydraulic lift.
I plan on doing a hydraulic lift.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I know that those tend to be a little bit more reliable than,
Reliability is a big concern for me. Technology continues to advance, and I'm not as familiar with the mechanics of an elevator. There's several companies that I've been in communication with over the past couple years. I still haven't made a final decision. I expect to do some more due diligence, but hydraulic is the direction I'm currently leaning towards.
okay. And I'm also presuming that you looked at like a chairlift on, the staircase, that type of thing, but that this would be more seamless within the design of the home.
I fell in love with the home when I saw it, and unfortunately, you got to see it inside. I didn't when I first approached the home, so I didn't know what I was going to see when I came up. And from the exterior, even though it's a 3-story, obviously from the front, it's hard to adjust to seeing a 3-story because you don't see many of them. So I really didn't process that until I came inside. The entrance is, right above your head, and the stairs are right in front of you. It's very congested.
It looks like kind of like a classic, like colonial or
Yeah.
almost like a New England style.
Yeah, which has a lot of charm to it. But
Right.
as far as getting a chair in there, it's very, very difficult, especially when you find out, wait a second, these stairs continue to go up. So we considered that for sure, but it just didn't seem practical for us at that property. And so, yeah.
No, and I get the, accommodation and wanting to be a good caregiver and thinking through the design so that everybody in the home can enjoy it equally. And again, quality of life is something that we talk about a lot here. So
Yeah.
it is very unusual. So that's why I think all of us had so many questions about that. But again, you being a contractor and wanting to build your home to, the highest standard that you can to provide the best for your family makes sense.
Yeah.
And moving around the pool and making sure that the grading is correct, those are all, things that, I can see the thought that's been put behind the design, so I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
I appreciate that. Yeah, a lot of thought and time has been going into this project.
And as someone who's grown up in Agoura Hills is a great place to raise a family, and, glad that you, want to make sure that your home's in it for the long haul, so.
Yeah, thank you. No, we love the community, and we appreciate all your time. And I mean, Eric and Robbie, I had a chance to finally meet you in person today. And the last, well, not the last, but one of the previous committees where you had the ordinance change on the Oak ordinance. So I was watching that because that was a big concern of mine. So I feel like some of you I've already met, even though you haven't met me. But we're excited about moving in. It's been 2 years of not living in Agoura because we had no idea that this process was going to be as lengthy. However, we get it. We understand that there's a lot of concerns, a lot of things that need to be considered before, a development like this occurs, and
And you still have to break ground.
we still have to break ground. So this was.
Construction projects never run overtime.
No. But this was one of those homes that we fell in love with, and it was my background is in design. I went to a design school, and so for me, form has to follow function, and so the elevator was definitely not something original, but we this was how we could make it work for us, and so that's the ultimate answer to this elevator. We're building the house around the elevator because we love the house so much. So
Yes.
yes, yeah.
Well, it doesn't sound like you have to take the house down to the studs.
No.
That's at least good, and
Yeah.
I think that the fact that your plans, do follow the original footprint of the home, makes a large difference, so.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time. Just last call, no follow-up questions for any?
Yeah, I agree with the owner. Inside the house, it's impossible to put a stairway.
Yeah.
Stairs are narrow, and it's not a good fit.
We can go into that in deliberations.
I-
Okay, perfect. All right, thank you. Okay, so thank you for
Thank
your
you very
time. I
much.
appreciate it.
Thank you all.
I will now defer to the city clerk for any public comment.
Thank you. We did not receive any written correspondence, nor do we have any speaker cards.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so you would now officially have time for 5 minutes for rebuttal if there was any, but we don't need to do that, so you don't need to get back up. And before the closing of the public hearing, again, last call for any questions.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. I just want to ask staff two final questions. So there have been concerns about the foundation of the home. If what we do tonight is part of the start of the process, as I understand, there will be other steps throughout this process in which the applicant will be coming back through the building department and the planning department. If anything is to be found in the future, that changes the dynamics for them, right? But nothing that we do tonight would circumvent if an engineer down the road finds something dangerous to the property. Is that correct?
That's correct. We would not approve a building permit with a faulty foundation.
Thank you. And just to put a fine point on the elevator and the usage of the elevator, upon, if all goes well for the applicant and occupancy and all the permits have been approved by the city and our inspectors, et cetera, it's incumbent on the homeowner. Hopefully they'll have insurance, and anything happens with their elevator at that point in time, that's not necessarily the city's obligation to be concerned with. That's the homeowner and their insurance company.
That's correct. We would just review the application once they submit it to us.
Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Any additional questions?
Yeah, so if there's something found in the foundation down the line, it would stop the process?
They would have to remedy whatever that issue is as part of the building permit process if there was an issue with the foundation. We're not aware of any foundation issues, but if there were, they would have to remedy it.
Okay, because my concern is still the foundation and holding up the home. I have no issues with the 3-story home. It's been there. It's far away from the street, so I have no issues with that. I'm just worried about the foundation holding the home and additional square footage.
So, Robbie, just to clarify, there is no record of any work or any structural failure or anything with the city at this time regarding that foundation?
That's correct. We don't have any record of any issues with the foundation, to my knowledge. And as part of the building permit process, we do review the soils reports, and we have a geotechnical engineer that reviews the soils reports as well, that are submitted by the applicant on top of our building official that approves the permit. So we would not approve a building permit with a faulty foundation.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, any other additional questions of staff before we close the hearing? Okay, hearing none, I will now close the public hearing. My paper will not stick to itself, okay. So now we will move on to deliberations, which is where we can deliberate and comment, and I will go ahead and start with Commissioner Platzer.
I know this home very well, and I always like new additions, and I appreciate disabled individuals living to the best they can, because that's important. My concern is the elevator, what happens in a fire or earthquake, whether it will work without electricity or power. I would like to see the geology report, but I believe my concerns is the foundation. So I have no issues with the tree. I have no issues with expanding or redoing the pool and the horse finding or the sports arenas. I'm just concerned about the foundation. So it meets its requirements, but I'm still concerned about the foundation.
Sorry,
So
just for clarification, is there a specific finding that you can't make because of your reservations about the foundations?
No, but I mean, I would have to assume that the owner, who's a contractor, has done his due diligence, so I guess it meets the findings, but I still have concern for the foundation issues.
Sorry, just for clarification, you can make the findings?
I can make, but I hope the owner will look into the foundation.
Okay.
So,
Can you make an affirmative statement whether or not you can make the findings?
I can make the findings with still a concern, but I can make the findings overall.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Stein?
First of all, thank you. I'm always appreciative of homeowners coming in and making improvements. Obviously increases the values and all the life and everything around us. I understand that the home was originally built before our city was incorporated, so there was definitely non-conforming issues. I'm glad to hear that you're going to be making improvements to them. And I understand a lot of the improvements are necessary to meet a reasonable accommodation, which now I understand more about that. I have no issues with removing a tree for safety purposes, and I have no problems with you doing the other improvements, so I can make all the findings.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Roth?
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here with us. I didn't realize we were going to be so boring that we'd put one of yours to sleep over here, but you're welcome. As a parent, oh, hey, welcome back. And we're back out. Anyways, I also similarly can make all the findings. I do really appreciate the thoughtfulness. Sorry to hear that you've been going through this process for 2 years. It's not fun. And we hope to see you in Agoura soon. I believe that this is kind of a mouthful, and I'm not going to repeat what Eric said, but as my fellow commissioners have indicated, everything is, I think, above board and meets what we expect as a city. And I would echo the sentiments that, improving your property and, improves the quality and the aesthetics of our community. And so I appreciate that. Just as a note, I think you've heard loud and clear that there's concerns about the property. I think we have a great city staff that will work with you through this process. We might be going away from you, but they're not going away from you, and they'll be here through this whole process with you. And so hopefully there is no future finding that makes this more time for you. But I can make all the findings. And just as a final note, I have a family member. My uncle is a super quad, and he has an elevator in his home. And I do hear the concerns about whether or not it's accessible during a fire and an earthquake. Obviously, take care and attention to that because if there is a loved one up there, we want to make sure that they can evacuate appropriately. But that's on you, and we can't really do much about that up here. So, best of luck, and I can make all the findings. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Sharon?
So I can make the findings on the tree permit. I don't need to go through all of them. I can make the findings on them. I understand that our building code and ordinance is there to provide a level of safety and a good way of living for our residents. And so I find that the changes that you are making and you're requesting to make fit within our code. And so I can make all the findings. I wish you best of luck. It's a heavy elevator, I'm assuming. So, good luck. And as an Old Agoura resident, I appreciate you putting your time and your effort and your money into improving our community. And the renderings look beautiful. So, congratulations.
Thank you. I want to just echo that I hear all the thoughtfulness and questions and concerns that all of my fellow commissioners have brought up and understand them. And we obviously had a lot of curiosity and questions, especially related to the elevator. And my fellow commissioner Platzer mentioned loss of power. I'm sure that there are some, backup generator or other, things that can be used to make sure that you have access in times of a disaster. And that given the thoughtfulness of how you've planned out the property, that those things are going to be things that you're going to do because this, again, all boils down to access and quality of life. So I too can make all the findings. And realize that you will be working closely with city staff to make sure that the property is as safe and stable, and also not only that aesthetically beautiful, but as you said, form follows function. So with that, I too can make all the findings. With that, I will then.
Pursuant to Agoura Hills Municipal Code, Section 9657.6C2, and 2, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Agoura Hills, California, approving a reasonable accommodation conditional use permit, case number PZ-2026-38-CUP, site plan architectural review permit, case number PZ-2025-62-SPR, and protected tree permit, case number PZ 2026-60-PTP, to allow construction of first, second, and third story additions to an existing non-conforming 3-story single-family dwelling and accessory structures on a hillside lot, and making a determination of exemption under the California Environmental Quality Act.
Commissioner Roth, so moved.
Commissioner Stein, seconds.
Great. I will now defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Platzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Roth?
Aye.
Commissioner Stein?
Aye.
Vice Chair Sharon?
Aye.
Chair Reinhardt?
Aye.
Chair Reinhardt, you have approval, 5-0.
Wonderful. Thank you. I will now defer to the Community Development Director, Robbie Nesevic, for the an official announcement.
The decision of the Planning Commission shall be final within 15 days from the date of the decision unless an appeal has been filed with the City Council.
Great, thank you. Are there any comments from staff? Okay, hearing none. Are there any additional comments from the Planning Commission?
Can I just give a little plug? We are hosting a Pride picnic at Morrison Park on the 27th, Saturday, from 11 to 1. everyone's welcome. And we are just a bunch of community members getting together and doing this. And so it's the first time we've done it, and we'd love to see everyone there. And anyone listening, you're invited. And yeah, that's it. Happy Pride, everyone.
Which park again?
Morrison Park.
Morrison Park.
Brand new, beautiful park.
Newly improved. Newly improved Morrison Park. And at what time?
11 to 1.
11 to 1.
Yeah,
on
bring
the
a picnic,
27th.
a blanket, and we will be having a few things that we're bringing in. And so, yeah, it'll be a good time.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Family event.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Okay. Then that's wonderful. All right. I will adjourn the meeting. The next regular Planning Commission meeting is scheduled for 6:00 p.m. on Thursday, July 2nd, in the council chambers of the Civic Center located at 30001 Ladyface Court, Agoura Hills, California. The meeting is now adjourned.